Good evening. I call this meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for joining us this evening. Please be advised, in the event of a fire emergency, an alarm will sound. Please note all emergency exits and evacuate well away from the building. At this time, we request that you silence your cell phones. Thank you for your cooperation. Welcome to everybody for our meeting. Tonight's meeting will be held from 6 to 7. At 7 o'clock, we're going to promptly go into budget presentation and meet the candidates. But first, we're going to start with our meeting. Any additions, deletions, or changes to the agenda, Dr. Chanel?
Yes, this evening we have 2 additions to the consent agenda. We're going to add our extra class treasurer's report and also some CSE recommendations.
Thank you. Moving on to the consent agenda, resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, approve the following consent agenda items as listed. Number 1, minutes from 4/21/2025. Number 2, extra class treasurer's report from April. And number 3, CSE recommendations. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion is carried. Next, we're going to move on to communications. First on the list is correspondence, and we're going to start with points of pride. Mrs. Dietrich.
Our National Honor Society hosted their second 5K of the year, Running with My Peeps, with all of their proceeds being donated to Lollipop Farms. We're proud to share that $1,647.36 will be donated to Lollipop Farms on behalf of our National Honor Society chapter. And the National Junior Honor Society also inducted 12 new members.
Okay. We are proud to announce that 3 Raiders were honored at the 2025 Livingston County Teen Recognition Banquet. Congratulations to our award winners, Hannah Harmon, Chloe Murray, and Ryan Years.
We are proud to announce that juniors Colby Burns and Emma Weiskill are new members of the National Technical Honor Society. Mr. Trost's 6th grade and 7th and 8th grade bands are coming together for a mega band performance during our upcoming middle school spring concert.
The class of 2029 participated in a campus cleanup effort. They picked up trash, cleaned bleachers, dugouts at all of our fields, and a few other odds and ends. We are excited to share that we had not 1, but 2 amazing Raiders named to the Democrat and Chronicles 2024-25 All Greater Rochester Winter Teams, which honors the top athletes in Section 5. Congratulations to senior Hazel Nickerson on being named to the AGR girls basketball team. And congratulations to junior Emma Brogan on being named to the AGR girls indoor track and field team.
Our varsity softball team finished their annual spring training trip today in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. This year was the 16th time Coach Dickens has taken his team for a spring training experience. Congratulations also to freshman Liam McCardle, who was Batavia Livingston County News Athlete of the Week for golf.
Thank you, everyone. Next, we're going to move on to discussion around the board self-evaluation. As you're aware, you got the board self-evaluation recently, and you got the comparison over the last 10 years this afternoon. My question to the board is, given that you just received that second piece of information several hours ago, do you want to postpone discussion until next meeting, or would we like to carry on with the discussion this meeting? Does everyone feel comfortable enough to do that?
I have not had a chance to read the...
Okay. Any other opinion?
I didn't hear what she said.
Would you like to postpone the discussion, given we just received some information this afternoon?
I don't think that's a terrible idea, but if you want to forge forward.
All right, we'll postpone till the next meeting. So be prepared next meeting to discuss our board self-evaluation.
Perfect.
Guests of the board. First, we have page turners. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped ahead. Apologies. Any other correspondence, Dr. Chanel?
At this point, I think the one thing I would like to share with the board is just an update on our newsletter. We did have a typo in the heading of our newsletter, which was pretty frustrating, given how much time and attention we spent to building that. So I did just want to let you know that we do partner with our local BOCES to build our newsletter, and on behalf of the BOCES, Kevin McDonald did reach out with apologies. We will not be paying for that budget newsletter in terms of any costs that were accrued in its printing. So I did just want to update the board on that.
No costs.
No cost. Well, we mailed it out, sir, but other than that, we won't be paying for the printing costs.
Maybe he can give us the postage too, because it's not the first time.
I can certainly ask
Thank
for
you.
that. Absolutely.
Thank you, Dr. Chanel. Next, we're going to move on to board committee reports. I know of 2 committees that have met, the Board Operations Manual Subcommittee, along with the Board of Education Policy Committee. So could I have reports off on those 2 items, please? Let's start with the Board of Operations Manual Subcommittee. That was Liz and Becca.
We met, gosh, a week or so ago and went through the final draft of the document, and I believe board members received, you emailed it out to us about a week ago, I think, right?
Yes.
And I think we're pretty well set. I think it looks pretty good.
Okay.
What did I forget? Anything else?
No, I don't think so.
Yep, so that was sent on 5/4. Everybody should have gotten that and reviewed it. You guys did great work on that, so thank you for your time. I think that took several meetings, and I thought it looked really nice. Board of Education Policy Committee.
Met a few weeks ago there, and we talked about the ex officio student representative that we're going to be bringing onto the board and the method of which we will be selecting that individual. Kind of started to work out the terms that that person will serve under to make them the most effective member they can be. It's going to be something new for us and obviously new for them, so it'll be a learning process for both. And then just some recommendations from BOCES on new policy updates, kind of boring stuff, but
Necessary?
yeah.
Yeah, thank you very
Yeah,
much.
done.
Any other comments?
Can I just add to that, there are some policies that the board had in their packet for your first read through this time, which would be recommendations from this policy committee for us to review.
Any other committee report updates? All right. Next, we're going to move on to guests of the board. First, we're going to have page turners with Mrs. Barber. Could you please come up and tell us all the great work you've been doing?
Okay. So this year's our page turner team will actually like just under half of it. You guys can come up. It's okay. We won't fight. All right, and they ended up competing this year in the championships, representing our school and our region over at Genesee Valley BOCES, which was definitely like a point of pride for us. This is our 2nd year going to the championships. You'll see some of our other page turners when they get here for our League of Extraordinary Middle Schoolers presentation as well. But I'm sure the board would love to hear a little bit about your experience going to the championships and being page turners. No, it's a big moment on the spot.
Well, I gotta say, considering this was my first year in middle school page turners and not going to the championships for elementary school, this was a pretty nice new experience.
It's nice to know that we had 0 8th graders. So
Little internal competition.
there's definitely more of a variety of books than in elementary school. So we definitely learn how to.
Can you repeat that for us, Mrs. Barber?
Oh, yeah. So she was just saying that there's a wider variety of books at the middle school level, and also being able to read on their own time. Which should be good.
That's great. Excellent.
Good work. Thank you.
Congratulations, you guys.
We are still waiting for quite a few of our members of the league for their presentation. would you like to move to public comment and circle back to that? Would that be okay?
Mrs. Voos, are you in the room? Do we have
Yes.
anyone signed up for public forum? No public forum. So we were going to move on to business.
Okay.
So I'll leave it up to you.
Okay. They should be here relatively soon. They're coming from DCC. From their.
Is the board comfortable postponing that and when they walk in, doing that?
That's fine.
Okay, yep, that's fine
Thank
with
you.
us.
I really
Yep,
appreciate
no, I
it.
understand, everybody's got busy schedules. For page turners, if anyone needs to leave, now would be the time. You're also welcome to stay for the meeting and observe how we do this. But thank you very much, Mrs. Barber. So we're moving on to superintendent's report. Dr. Chanel?
Actually, tonight, what you see in your report is some information from me on our current honor roll and high honor roll results. You will notice that there's a bit of a dip in grades 10, 11, and 12 in terms of how many kids are on the honor roll. So I did ask our guidance counselor to do a deep dive into that data set and just kind of share that with me a little bit of the difference between what we're seeing. So most of the 10th graders that are experiencing a dip right now are enrolled in geometry, which tends to be a challenging math class. That class seems to be pulling down just a little bit on some of their overall averages. Our 11th graders, some of them that are not on the roll that typically are taking a couple of AP classes at the same time. So you could see like the increase in the demand and the rigor of the courses that they were in, along with a couple of kids that are in Algebra 2. Algebra 2 is the high school math class that we would refer to as the gatekeeper when you're talking about students getting the highest level of diploma type. So that is probably the most challenging math class that we offer, other than when we get into AP Calculus. Am I right out there? Yes, okay, so we hit AP Calculus. And the seniors, it was a little, I wouldn't say it was a lot of kids on the senior class that sort of dropped off, but definitely you're starting to see senioritis. I was surprised with some of the names that fell off the list. I'm sure their parents were too. And also just a few that attendance is starting to get in their way. So same kind of thing, we've got to keep chasing after kids to help them finish strong.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
There is no old business, so we're going to move on to new business. New business tonight starts with the Code of Conduct presentation by Dr. Chanel.
So this year, the Code of Conduct, similar to others, has been reviewed by our compact committees. I'm actually going to present on Mr. Banzer's behalf. He is not with us this evening because he is up at Jones Hall. We have a couple of middle school children that are actually graduating tonight from the babysitter's course. And it's very important to our community that a principal be present when those celebrations are occurring. So that's where Mr. Banzer is this evening. He had shared with you guys the last time that he spoke about the compact committee that they'd had the conversation around the code. There really is only 2 small changes that he's recommending to the Code of Conduct in terms of content. There's a few, I would say, wanting to be a little bit more inclusive in some of the language that you'll see in the markup. But on page 14, engaging in conduct that is insubordinate, Mr. Banzer did find that when he was trying to crosswalk for kids that were truant to school, that's something that we address when we're in our parent-student handbook, but it didn't match back over into the code. And so just thinking about that transition space with principal to make sure that there's a lot of clarity there. So we have pulled over truant from school and missing or leaving school without permission under letter C, engaging in conduct that is insubordinate. We are putting a pin in the cell phone policy. So you guys know that we've been kind of waiting to see what was going to happen with the budget. It does appear very clear in the budget that's been passed in New York State that we are going to have a cell phone ban, bell to bell, while kids are in school. It does appear that we're going to be allowed to have kids store their cell phones in their own lockers and putting consequences in place should they not be living up to the expectation of bell to bell ban. But because that's new, I know, I'm looking at some of the kids, they're like, we're seniors. I do think that the compact committee meets again this week on Wednesday, so the conversation is at least going to begin there. As part of the process that the state is asking us for, we do need to engage probably our student council. We need to try to find a voice amongst the kids to make sure that they really understand why this rule is coming and what kinds of things we should do in order to shore that rule up so kids don't think that schools are just becoming more rigid, and instead help them understand from the full perspective of the psychology and the mental health concerns that are being addressed by this particular legislation. So we will have to put the code up for a second time. but we definitely want to have a code of conduct that gets its 30-day public review, so that when we begin our summer school, we actually have a current code with current dates. So what you'll see is this code moving forward, and then we will come back to you with changes to the code for a second round of input from the community.
Thank you, Dr. Chanel. Any questions?
When would the cell phone ban, when does that begin, next school year?
Next school year,
Thank you.
absolutely.
Will that be addressed in an opening assembly at the beginning of the school?
Yes, I would say a couple of things, like we probably want to make sure we get communication out before the end of the school year, right? If parents are not paying attention to the rules that are kind of changing, I mean, it's coming out in a school budget, right? It's coming out as part of the way in which we are funded at the state level. So if people are not paying very close attention, this could be going right over them. So I think we need to do a serious round of communication before the school year is out, probably with kids, and then again, at the beginning of the school year, making sure that we've addressed like let's call it all of the procedures that we're gonna need them to go through in terms of making sure that their cell phones are off and in their locker for bell to bell. Something that our elementary and middle school students are used to. The one change I think elementary and middle school students will experience is that wearables are included in this law. So if you happen to be wearing a watch that has internet capabilities, those are not going to be allowed in schools. So some things that maybe we haven't paid as close attention to will start to need to be addressed.
Thank you. Next, we're going to move on to number 3, athletic code of conduct. Mr. Reed, way back there, I see you.
I don't know if I was at the top. Had my hand up to the time. You can be 2 places at once.
You can.
Similarly to the high school code of conduct, we review the athletic code annually. Very minimal changes to it, really. A lot of it was just putting in writing what we've done, our process, so that when Tim McCardle takes over, there's not a question. He can still call me, but it's easier if it's written down. So the first one is on page 7, and it's levels. We give a little description of the levels. This is the varsity one, and we just noticed that the winning piece was mentioned in junior varsity, but not mentioned in the varsity level, which didn't make a lot of sense because varsity is the one where you're competing for sections and states. So we just wordsmithed it a little bit in adding in that winning is emphasized, and that athletes are expected to be fully committed to the team. We don't really see a lot of it, but sometimes you get students that kind of just disappear after a while. Rarely does it happen at varsity, but again, we want them to understand that they're fully committed to the team. The next one is on page 14. Yes, so usually this is like Mr. McCardle calls me, or whoever's doing discipline is like, hey, what do we do with a kid that's in detention? Can they do this? And then I'm like, well, this is what we've done in the past, so we want to formalize it. People on the committee, we also talked about in school. That was actually already in there. So we didn't have to add it, it was already in there. But detention was one, and basically we just summarized what we've been doing. Like, if a kid's in detention and they have to go to detention, then they don't play sports. If they can get out of detention and make it to sports, then that's going to be between the student and the coach, what they're doing. So that was that piece right there under eligibility. There's a little blip under eligibility where I put in, you can see link. So Mr. McCardle's vastly superior in the area of technology than I am. We've gotten some questions about, especially with our leave early part, which is the participation pass or the note required when somebody leaves, goes to the doctor, comes back, and like people are like, well, what is that? Like, it doesn't say clearly. It's kind of like where you have 2 paths across. We have a school code of conduct. It's pretty clearly put in there. So athletic code of conduct can be built after the school code of conduct. So we kind of felt like people would know what they were because they were following them for school, but some people didn't. So we actually met with a parent who had a concern, and Tim and I just kind of said, hey, I said it'd be pretty easy for you to just put a link in there to that. I think there's a list of 13 things that are considered. So that would clear it up. So if parents have that question, here's the link, click, boom, it takes you. Otherwise you could list them. he'll figure that out, whether he can put the link or not. And then the word just changed because the word that's used for the 13, I think, was excuse. I had approved. Trying to match it up to what is there. And then the last one is on page 23. So this again kind of goes back to sometimes student athletes, like we don't see a lot of it, but it is frustrating when, if you're putting the team together, the concept, and you're counting on this person, and we don't make cuts much anymore, but if you were to make cuts, all of a sudden then somebody comes back and you're like, yeah, I don't feel like playing. So there's two parts to it. The first part we kept the same, just wordsmithed a little bit differently, that if somebody wants to go from one sport to another in the season, so golf to baseball, has to have the approval of both coaches and the athletic director. So we rarely do those get denied. Like if a kid really wants to go, we do that. In terms of and the second part was then, in terms of quitting, they did feel that, we looked at some other codes of conduct, and the committee felt like adding in, if they quit, that they would be ineligible for 10%, which is usually a pretty small number, of the next season. So they quit basketball, they run track, they would be ineligible for a part of track. They'd still practice, it's just the contest. And again, you throw in the caveat that if it's a reason that's acceptable to the athletic director and coach that a student quits, then you don't have the punishment, you don't have the consequences. So if there's a family situation that develops and a kid needs to get out, or there's an issue, so those are in there. Those are in most codes. They're in all the codes that we looked at. But again, it does get frustrating. It can be frustrating as a coach if you're counting on somebody and then all of a sudden they just disappear. So minimal changes. That's probably the biggest one. But the rest of it was just formalizing.
I wasn't there for the last meeting, but the kids quitting, that was actually something that our student reps brought up. It was starting to bother some of our varsity athletes, so that was good to hear that their concern is now visible in the code.
Yeah, they actually, again, you missed it, but the same student
Good.
brought it up again
Yeah.
in the same example, and kind of reminded us, yeah, that was kind of, just at least it makes the kid think maybe twice. Like if they're doing something and they're really thinking about their next sport, it's like, do I want to toughen out, or do I, do that? Or within the first couple of weeks, do I need to pull the plug now and get out before, like you're starting to build your team. I mean, that's not good if they walk out on that.
Any questions from the board? Thank you, Mr. Reed. Mr. Reed, I believe this might be your last board presentation.
No, I usually come to June.
June,
and I
June,
do
that's
the
correct.
full,
So you have one more.
report.
All right,
So yeah.
so no farewell
No
yet.
goodbyes.
No
Yes.
farewell yet.
But, I'm going to go back and see how that goes.
Okay,
Good luck.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're gonna move on to,
Is the page turn?
yep, so we're gonna move on to approving the athletic code of conduct, then I'm gonna circle back to you. I see you've had some people walk in, but I just wanna I don't wanna break that up. So we're gonna approve the athletic code of conduct, resolve that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, approve the athletic code of conduct for the 2025-2026 school year. May I have a motion, please?
I'll make it.
A second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in,
Liz, I'm sorry, will the board members and superintendent and high school principal names be updated before it's?
yep, thank you
Thank
for
you.
pointing that out. Yeah, we'll make sure that's all accurate. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion is carried. Now, Mrs. Hatch and Mrs. Barber are going to present on the lead of extraordinary middle schoolers. I'm very excited to hear about this. Dr. Chanel has given us no information.
to tell you all about it. So I know the presentation is behind you, you might have it on your screens. I do have some paper copies if you'd like to look at their presentation, as well as a handout that these students have created. Mrs. Hatch and I think there's about 5 copies, so you might have to share a little bit of
Yep,
the
thank you so much.
presentation. So Mrs. Hatch and I started an enrichment group, some of our best and brightest high IXL scorers in literature this year. So these students have all come together. We initially thought it was going to be a really cool book club, and it has grown into something so much cooler than that. That's all I'm going to tell you. They are going to take it on and tell you all about the work that they've been doing with the League of Extraordinary Middle Schoolers. There is
This is our presentation on Sarah Jane McBride by the League of Extraordinary Middle Schoolers. Today, we're going to talk all about who we are, League of Extraordinary Middle Schoolers. We have words to know and some pictures, all about Sarah Jane McBride, her timeline and impact on fishing, and our process of being a Palmer Foundation work.
Our group was formed during the 2024-2025 school year. We are some of the top performers in each of our respective grades. We are ready to place a historical marker to honor Sarah Jane McBride, the pioneer fly fisher, and after that we will continue to give recognition.
Is there a microphone on the podium?
Thank you.
Words to know. Matching the ice to the bugs in season, so more fish are attracted to your flies. Palmer Historical Marker. A sign that commemorates people, places, things, or events within New York State. Hobby scientist. Someone who studies things in their free time, but not for a job or profession. Entomology and entomologist. Study of insects and someone who studies bugs. Tomajo. The tomajo was Sarah's most famous fly and was inspired by multiple types of bugs. It's most commonly used for catching trout because trout is very popular in the Caledonia-Mumford area. This is Sarah's business card. It has a name, Sarah Jane McBride. It has a father, John McBride. It has where she lived, Mumford, New York, and it has the bronze medal that she got at the Carson Temple Exhibition in Philadelphia. This is the map of where Sarah lived, and the highlighted spot is where her house is, and that's where she lived, and then the creek is where she did most of her life. Bear Creek also known as Caledonia Creek. This is the 1850 census, and so is this highlighted. And the census holds like the family's records, like when your birthday is, how old you are, marriage and death records, and sometimes they can get messed up, so we don't know how valid they are. And one census claims that Sarah was born in 1844 and another in 1846, so we don't know her exact year when she was born. And there's also different variations of how we spell her name. One spells it S-A-R-A, she spells it this way, and we know that because that's how she put it on her business card. And another spells it S-A-R-A-H. And another thing the census helped us with was pick out the location because it proved that her father owned the house.
So, all about Sarah. Sarah was an opportunistic, detail-oriented hobby scientist who lived right around the 1800s. She studied fly fishing under her father, John McBride, her mother, Steve Fly Tyer. She grew up tying flies with him throughout her entire life and inherited his fly tying business here in Caledonia after he passed. And then Sarah enhanced the family business by using her self-study findings on insects all over Caledonia Creek and inside her home with aquariums that she made herself. And during her study, she observed both life cycles, how they attracted certain fish, and how different species attracted things. And then using this knowledge, she created accurate fly ties for fishermen around the world, and her works are still used today. Now, Sarah did not actually invent Match the Hatch, but her studies did lay down the foundation for it. And then her death remains a mystery to this day, and little is known about her life after the 1870s, but the most common theory is that she moved to Australia and lived out the rest of her days there.
Around 1844, Sarah Jane McBride was born into an Irish family, and she grew up tying flies with her father in a shop. She was the fifth of 6 girls and loved science.
Right around 1875, Sarah's father dies, she takes over the family business. This is when she starts to introduce her knowledge of fly tying and just grows the business. And at this point, she also starts writing articles for news papers like Forest and Stream, and then she continued this process throughout her life.
At about 1878, since her business was growing, she decided to move her shop to New York City, hoping to attract more customers. And she even won a bronze medal for her ties and studies at the Bicentennial Exhibition in Philadelphia.
And around 1888, Sarah went to England to write a review of the fly tying facility she wrote the article, got it published, approved, and then she secured the documents. Impact on vision. Number 1, Sarah changed the sport to what it is today. Instead of being a thing that people had to do to get food, they changed it and made it a fun thing for people to do in their recreational time. Number 2, Sarah was one of the first female entomologists of her time, and she was self-educated. This meant she was a pioneer and a leader in her time. Number 3, Sarah pioneered the match-to-match technique with all of her studies. Number 4, Sarah worked to combine sport and science throughout her life to contribute to the wonderful sport of fly fishing. So, a brief synopsis of our process is we first came up with the idea of how we wanted to honor a historical person from this local area. And we stumbled upon Sarah Jane McBride with the help of Livingston County historian Holly Watson. She really guided us through this process on how to find research, choosing a person, what websites to use, and what resources we could borrow from the town. And then, after rigorous hours of research, we made an application for the Pomeroy Foundation, we finalized what we were going to say on the sign, and then our letter of intent was sent out to the actual foundation, and then luckily it was approved. Now, to help out the town of Village Highlight, we are hopefully placing the marker this summer for Sarah Jane McBride in front of the yellow house that's just past the village track.
That's amazing. Yeah.
And then on the board is basically a sign that Maddie made of kind of a rough idea of what the sign would look like. That is the inscription we'll be using. It says, Sarah Jane McBride, born circa 1844, entomologist, author, and fly time. She advanced the sport of fly fishing with match-to-hatch time techniques from the William G. Pomeroy Foundation.
These are the sites we used for our research. If you would like them, you can visit us after this presentation.
Thank you, that's fantastic. That's absolutely amazing. Are there any questions from the board?
I congratulate you. I think you did a wonderful job. This is great. It ties in with things at the Springs Museum, too. And the Trout Festival. Are you going to have any sort of presentation at the Trout Festival?
Yes, we're going to be giving short version of this at 10:30, right? Yeah.
Oh, very good.
Good for you. Thank you all for coming tonight. This is absolutely amazing and so impressive. Thank you.
Thank you.
Before we move on, I would like to just take this moment and say thank you to both Mrs. Hatch and Mrs. Barber. This is actually not a club or activity that's really like established within our school. This was a group of young people that when they first got leveled in IXL, we realized that their reading levels were just off the chart. So how do you take a group of kids that are so young and already reading so far above where they should be reading and make sure that they get the right kind of enrichment? And like Mrs. Barber said, at first we were thinking of a book club, but look what it turned into, and such a really great experience. And I just want to say thank you to both educators for going, what we would say above and beyond times 1,000, right? You go above and beyond all the time. This is times 1,000. Thank you so much for investing in our kids.
For the students, you're welcome to stay for the remainder of our meeting, but if you have other things in your schedule, you're also welcome to leave at this time. But thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Congratulations, you guys.
Can you show them your t-shirts?
Yeah,
I was reading
I'm
them.
sorry.
The lights
They're
are
so
in our
cool.
eyes, so
we can't.
come on up,
You
Jacob.
have to explain your t-shirts. They're really powerful.
Come really close.
Parade right up here. Yeah, let's see. Thank you for being brave.
Oh, wow.
Thank you.
Yeah, how cool.
Thank you. All right, we are going to move on to our new business, 4 through 7. As you can see in the backup notes, 4 through 7 primarily are all around the same functions to allow our new business administrator, Mr. Colwell, to carry out his duties. Number 4, officer and appointments. Resolved that the Board of Education appoint the following officer is listed effective May 14th, 2025. A, Records Access Officer Brennan Colwell. B, GLSW Workers' Compensation Board, Brennan Colwell. Motion, please.
I'll make it.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion is carried. Designations. Resolved that the Board of Education appoint the designations as listed, effective May 14th, 2025. Purchasing agent, Brennan Colwell. Official bank signatories, Brennan Colwell. Can I have a motion, please?
I'll make it.
A second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion is carried. Authorizations. Resolved that the Board of Education approve the authorizations as listed, effective May 14th, 2025. Fund transfer, Brennan Colwell. Revenue anticipation notes, Brennan Colwell. Signed federal and state documents, Brennan Colwell. Payment of approved contractual expenses, Brennan Colwell. May I have a motion, please?
I'll make it.
A second? Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion is carried. And finally, approval of cooperative bidding. Resolved that the Board of Education appoint Brennan Colwell as business administrator to participate in cooperative bidding effective May 14th, 2025. May I have a motion, please?
I'll make the motion.
A second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion is carried. As you may or may not know, Brennan's first day with us was last Friday, which happened to be the last day of Teacher Appreciation Week, so he got to enjoy the coffee cart.
Did.
We told him it was for him, but it wasn't.
We got the past couple out.
Number 8, first reading of board policies. Dr. Chanel discussed this briefly in her correspondence, but these are policies that our committee looked at. We have to do our first reading, so they're in the backup notes. Any questions or concerns regarding those? All right, number 9, approval of board policy deletion. Resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, approve the deletion of the following board policy. Number 7440, student membership in the National Honor Society and the Junior National Honor Society. May I have a motion, please?
I'll make the motion.
A second?
Second.
Any discussion? Dr. Chanel, just for people in the audience,
Yes.
would you speak to this so it doesn't sound so alarming?
Absolutely. So basically, Erie One BOCES does not have a policy for National Honor Society or National Junior Honor Society. We had a policy of our own, 7440. They're now using 7440 for another purpose. So we need to make sure that our policies align with the policies as they're coming out across the state. So you see our deletion there to make room for a new policy. All of our rules and regulations around the honor societies are still written inside of all of our codes of conduct and our handbooks. We will do some research this summer around which place should we maybe revise another policy to add these components to a policy so that we do have some local. But for now, we are making space for 7440.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion is carried. Approval of summer recreation program transportation. Resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, approve the summer rec field trips transportation requests for the 2025 summer program. May I have a motion, please?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion?
It's a robust schedule. It's going to be a lot of fun for the kids.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion is carried. Approval of MMB Company Audit Letter of Engagement. Resolved that the Board of Education approves the attached updated letter of engagement for MMB to perform the year-end audits of the 2024-2025 school year. May I have a motion, please?
I move.
A second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion is carried. Approval of natural gas bid. Resolved that the Calmon Board of Education approves the attached bid with Sprague Energy for the 2025-2026 school year. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion is carried. Number 13, appointment of election inspectors. Resolved that the Board of Education hereby rescind Resolution 8, Number 6, from the April 8th, 2025 meeting and replace it with the following. Doug Larley as the head election inspector and Lori Dollard and Fred Hermanson are hereby appointed as election inspectors for the annual school budget vote and board elections on May 20th, 2025. May I have a motion, please?
I'll make it.
A second.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion is carried. Next, we're going to move to executive session. I would like to invite Mr. Colwell and Bruce back to executive session with us to provide some information on something that we're going to discuss. Resolved that the Board of Education adjourn to executive session at 6:42 p.m. to discuss the employment and employee history of particular persons, matters leading to appointment, confidential student records protected by FERPA. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion is carried. We will move to executive session, be back at 7 o'clock to start our budget hearing and meet the candidates.
What is it for?
We are back from executive session. Resolved that the Board of Education return to regular session at 7 p.m. Can I have a motion, please?
I'll make the motion.
A second?
Yep.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion is carried. I'm going to move right into personnel. It'll take a few minutes, and then we'll move to our budget presentation. Personnel 1, appointment of summer driver education teachers. Resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, appoint the following summer driver education teachers: Brian Granton and Michael Yokopovich. May I have a motion, please?
Yep.
Second.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion is carried. Appointment of elementary teacher. Resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, appoint Emily Phelan to a probationary 1.0 FTE elementary education teacher tenure position effective August 28, 2025 through August 27, 2029. The appointee holds initial certification in early childhood education, birth through 6, and childhood education grades 1 through 6. May I have a motion, please?
I'll make it.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion is carried. Appointment of elementary teacher. Resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, appoint Emily DeVore to a probationary 1.0 FTE elementary education teacher tenure position, effective August 28, 2025 through August 27, 2029, pending certification. May I have a motion, please?
Yes.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion is carried. Number 4, appointment of elementary teacher. Resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, appoint Veronica Daly to a probationary 1.0 FTE elementary education teacher tenure position, effective August 28, 2025 through August 27, 2029. The appointee holds initial certification in childhood education grades 1 through 6 and students with disabilities grades 1 through 6. May I have a motion, please?
Yep.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion is carried. Number 5, appointment of elementary teacher. Resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, appoint Lacey Howell to a probationary 1.0 FTE elementary education teacher tenure position, effective August 28, 2025 through August 27, 2029. The appointee holds professional certification in childhood education grades 1 through 6. May I have a motion, please?
Yes.
A second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion is carried. Appointment of secondary social studies teacher. Resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, appoint Samantha Anderson to a probationary 1.0 FTE Secondary Social Studies Teacher Tenure Position, effective August 28, 2025 through August 27, 2029. The appointee holds professional certification in Social Studies grades 7 through 12. May I have a motion, please?
I'll make it.
A second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion is carried. 7, appointment of coach. Resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, approve Griffin Mervine as a girls varsity head basketball coach for the 2025-2026 school year. May I have a motion, please?
I'll make it.
Second?
Yep.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion is carried. Number 8, appointment of school counselor. Resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, appoint Mary Warner to a probationary 1.0 FTE school counselor tenure position, effective August 25th, 2025 through August 27th, 2029. The appointee holds initial certification as school counselor. May I have a motion, please?
Yep.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion is carried. Number 9, resignation of secretary for purpose of retirement. Resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, accept with regret and best wishes the resignation for the purpose of retirement of Susan Boos, secretary to the superintendent district clerk, effective October 30th, 2025. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
A second.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, I would just like to publicly say thank you, Sue Boos.
Thank you,
Yes,
Sue.
We
thank you,
appreciate
Sue.
you. Congratulations.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion is carried. Resignation, number 10, resignation of bus driver for purpose of retirement. We're almost there, guys, I promise. Resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, accept with regret and best wishes the resignation for the purpose of retirement of Mr. Ron Granton, effective June 27th, 2025. May I have a motion, please?
I'll make it.
Second.
Yep.
Any discussion?
I would just want to say the same thing. Thank you so much, Ron Grattan, even though he's not here, for all
Thank
your
you, Ron.
years of service. I don't know what we're going to do without him, but we'll get through it.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion is carried. Finally, number 11, middle high school principal. Resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, appoint Morgan Marcello to a probationary 1.0 FTE middle high school principal tenure position, effective July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2029. The appointee holds school building leader and school district leader certifications. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
A second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion is carried. Finally, and 7 minutes over, I apologize for that. We're going to move to adjournment. Resolved that the Board of Education adjourn the meeting of May 13th, 2025 at 7:07 p.m. May I have a motion, please?
Yep.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion is carried. We are going to close this meeting and start our budget hearing. Thank you.